how is collaboration, well-being, and a spicy burnout scale interconnected? That's what we're going to be talking about today. Welcome to Women Leaders on the Move, a Her C-Suite radio podcast. I'm your host, Natalie Benamou, and every week I have the incredible opportunity to learn right along with you as I interview and talk with amazing women leaders like Carole Jean Whittington. I'm also the founder of Her C-Suite, a portfolio career network where women build what's next. Today, we're going to be talking about all the things that you are probably feeling. Pushing through burnout, why burnout is often chronic for women, the different types of stress that might be helping and affecting you, and why sleep is the first thing disrupted and the last thing to recover. There's so much more that we're going to chat about, and be sure to listen for the end where Carole Jean does one of her magic breath work that will relax you and help you wherever you are in your day. Let's get started with this conversation now. Carole Jean, I'm so excited to welcome you to Women Leaders on the Move today. Thanks for being on the show.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm always thrilled to have a conversation with you because I always walk away with so much insight.
This is going to be such a great conversation for women wherever they are in their journey. What is the thing that is sparking you the most at this moment of all the things that led you to today?
It's something I'm very excited about right now that I don't think is discussed enough. And that is, how are we choosing to use the knowledge that we have, but really tap into our inner wisdom, our inner and personal authority as women, and how we lead from a place of well-being? Because for most of us, we have experienced life for decades in some degree of burnout. And it's that we have taken on more than the capacity we have to meet it. And so my goal with the women's well-being movement is to step in, help women really realign and reconnect, sometimes for the very first time. I know for me in my 40s, when I finally said that enough's enough, who the hell is this woman staring back at me in the mirror? I had to really stop and begin to recognize what parts of me I'd given away so freely. My spark right now is to help guide other women back to that moment of reclamation, to that recalibration, to bring in the things maybe you never had a chance to discover about yourself before, because the world was saying, we expect you to do this, we need you to do this, the invisible labor, the people pleasing, the peacekeeping, the kin keeping that we do within our own families just to make sure everybody stays connected. So those are the things that are really lighting me up.
So many things are coming into my head about what you were saying and connecting and being really in touch with who we are. And I think we can do that at any age. I mean, I'm a few years older. We'll leave it at that. I'm more than a few years older. But I think at all of the phases, and that's the thing that's really exciting about the work that both of us do, is that women are really starting to step in and deciding we don't have to do the linear path. What does that look like for you in a nonlinear way? Because, we rise in that corporate ladder. We're told, keep achieving, do more, do more, do more on that corporate ladder. But today we can do multi-hyphenate of things, which is the beauty. What does that look like for you and the work you're doing?
My dad gave me great advice early in my life. And he said, Carole Jean, don't invest your time, your money, and your resources into a job that you haven't first tried out. Like, go get your feet wet, see how you like that industry or that field first in action before you go get a degree and put time in studying, that kind of thing. And that has really served me well. But I also have been in law. I practiced in real estate law. I was a real estate appraiser before that. I've been a project manager. I was in hospital administration. I went back to school and went and, studied pre-med and went into vision science and studied for vision therapy and stress point learning. There's not a whole lot that I didn't hit somewhere along the way. I was even in banking and finance at one point as a relationship banker. So there is no straight trajectory. But what I have found is there was a continuous pattern. And number one, it was that I excelled in whatever I did. I immediately was being advanced within that particular field, and I would hit a place of burnout. And instead of recognizing that it was some internal things that were burning me out, I immediately went, oh, this is not the job for me, or this is not the workplace for me. I need to change where I am. And so I did a lot of moving and shifting because I would get burned out. And it was just this constant cycle. But now I'm now entering year 6 of Burnout-Free since the first time since I was 6 years old, and I'm 51. I will gladly own that. Perimenopause and all the things. I have stayed out of burnout and in this optimum steady state for 6 years. And in that, number one, it's a place I didn't know was possible to this degree. I'm learning something new every day. And I didn't think it was possible for me to have consistent energy, to feel good. Even on days that might be tough, there's still this joy and this excitement. And I still have the capacity, and I have ebbs and flows, but I recognize what those are. And I'm not putting the foot on the back of my own neck to go further and push myself harder. I recognize where I am and that it's okay and safe for me to rest. And so in that, I'm getting my master's in public health. I'm doing some research studies with some other colleagues. There's so much more, and none of it is draining me. None of it is taxing me. And it's all met with, this is fun.
I never would have thought, if you would have asked me, early in my career, mid-career, even before starting what I'm doing now, if you would have said, can you envision yourself being in tech or in, this AI innovation space? I would have been like, what are you even talking about? I think now, one of the things that's so interesting to me is this unleashing of possibilities, of flying through the window and seeing that there's not any limits on us anymore, that we can get curious and explore and get excited and find joy. And for the person that's listening, that's like, yeah, but I don't feel that right now, you have a whole system to help her. What are some of the things that you're doing in the work that you have developed to help someone get free of that spot that's hard to break free of?
I created a suite of assessment tools specifically for women to look at the key areas that are drivers to our well-being. And the number one assessment, because I have a suite of 5, and I have some free ones that are out there that are called the snapshots, and they're super fast. So in 7 to 9 questions, you're good to go. But the first one is stress. And stress gets a bad rap because we have 3 forms of stress. We have eustress, eustress, which is the positive form of stress. That's like we're excited about a project that we're doing, or we have something that we're planning, even a vacation. That can be a positive form of stress. And it's a thing that motivates and moves our system. We like that. Then there's neutral stress, which is called new stress, not very creative in the naming of this, y'all. And then we have distress. We have that negative form of stress. And what I learned in my 5-year study, it was both qualitative and quantitative. In the interview process, when we were talking about stress, when I had these conversations with hundreds of women, I saw this pattern developing. And so I took that pattern of stress response. How do you, your stress personality style, respond to stress? And how has that shown up over time? And so the snapshot for the stress profile looks at, are you a resilient warrior, an empowered explorer? It kind of gives you a fun name that sort of surmises, how do you respond when stress comes in when you don't necessarily feel like you have the capacity to meet it? Because that's very different than when we have the capacity to meet stress. So we look at when that capacity is diminished, what does your stress response look like? And in another one, we have the complexity. So this is sort of the order of things, because when we experience stress, and we all experience stress all day long, it's not going away. And it's not about managing stress. I really hate that. I do not say we manage stress, because that's crud. You got to have the system set up to be able to navigate stress, not manage it. But when we look at how does stress show up in your stress personality profile, we, by human nature, are complex beings. We create complexity whether we want to or not. And one of those things is that we have a subtraction bias as humans. And there's some great research out there that sort of brought this in for me and sort of drove me in this direction of looking at the complexity levels. After I evaluated how do people respond to stress when they don't have a lot of capacity, I started to notice one of the next things that happened or how it was trying to be fixed. Because when stress comes in, we want to fix it, right? Because it doesn't feel good. It's uncomfortable when it's a distress. And what happens is we immediately default to adding something to solve the problem. It is very rare that we want to remove something. And what happens over time is as stress comes in, we add something to it to fix the problem, or it resolves itself. But somehow that behavior or that addition to our habit becomes programmed as part of our software, our operating software. And so we carry it. The next stress comes in and we add again to fix it. And so we have these layers of complexity that build up over time that are a constant energy drain.
Hey, it's Natalie. I wanted to pop in today and invite you to join me March 6th for a special program. Next to Lead AI is our monthly program we host on the first Friday of every month. This month, we are talking about transformation, why it's not working, and how to fix it. And we'll also be talking about amazing women leaders in technology and AI in honor of International Women's Day, which is March 8th. Join us this Friday, the 6th. Get all the information in the show notes. I can't wait to see you there.
In my research, we found the first thing disrupted is our sleep, but it's the last thing to come back online. And that is a really bitter pill to swallow. And from my own experience and through hundreds of clients, I can tell you is the last thing to restore. So it's one of the reasons why I teach 7 forms of rest other than sleep in the Rapid Recharge Lab. So you can learn to data track your own responses to find out if it's a breathwork pattern, if it's meditation, something that gives you energy, because all of that essentially leads to burnout. And it's not just the kind of burnout that you think about, like, I just worked too hard or I've had a big project and it's just kind of, I'm in this place where I'm just kind of drained to capacity. I look at burnout for women in a very different way because it tends to be a chronic cycle and it revolves in this 1 to 5 scale. Serious and hard is what got us into burnout. So I like to infuse some fun and levity. So I have the spicy pepper scale.
Oh, what is that? Tell me.
So it's like, how spicy is your burnout? So we have the level 1, which is the poblano pepper. That's where you have just a little simmer. And then we move up the scale to jalapeno, cayenne, habanero is level 4. You're at the boiling point. This is where you're really heated up. You can feel it. This is where you are physically having some big experiences. And then level 5 is the ghost pepper, where you're so hot you're not. And it's on this sliding thing. It's like the blue flame in a fire. It's not the red hot like level 4. It's that blue flame. It's that white hot. It's so hot.
Wow.
And it's where your body and your mind and your emotions and everything really start to collapse and shut down at the highest level, because there's degrees of heat within each one of those. But what I found was so helpful, because I came into this not knowing I was burned out. I just thought I had failed to adult. I sucked at all the things I was supposed to be doing as a mom and a wife and all the stuff and a daughter. And I didn't know I was burned out. It took a couple of years before I learned that word and had a definition and was able to apply it. So what I developed through my research and the tools are here to help you be able to put things into a context, be able to track and measure, be able to see how you're changing or experiencing things. And it is a judgment-free placement of wherever you are. That's just where you are. It's not a good thing or bad thing. It's just what it is. And it's about what is it that you want to experience? Because we create in the program, the unveiling method, we create your Thrive destination statement. Because for so many of us, we get to a point between 38 and 42 where we wake up one day and we're like, I don't know why I'm here. Who am I? How did I get here? What choices led me here? Because I don't even feel like I know who I am anymore. I feel so disconnected from myself. I don't really even recognize the people around me, the man I sleep next to or the person next to me. I'm just like, who are you? We're roommates. It's at that point that we really need to have something more than here's some self-care. You're maybe a little depressed or you've got some anxiety and, here's a pamphlet or here's a great book to read. Good luck. Suck it up, buttercup. And so I said, no, women deserve better than that. We deserve more than here's a list of some self-care, because slapping cucumbers on your eyeballs is not going to fix this.
It's so true. I think about the questionnaire that you get when you go to the doctor of any sort. And the questions are really not screening. They're not helpful. They don't tell you anything. It doesn't even matter how you answer them because they're not even paying attention to them. And then when you do get to the point, it's like, well, how about you just take, some Prozac? It's not that people don't need that. I don't want to imply in any way because plenty of people do. But you're not really getting to like, well, is there some other thing? And I think getting centered on our heart and what's important to us really can help open up, that sense of, oh, this is what's possible for me. And there's always the burden of, besides like our burden at home, but with work, there's the economic burden where you think in your head, like, well, I can't because there's no way I'm going to be able to do this. Right. And that's the power. And what I'm so excited about what you and also what you and Michelle are doing is this unleashing of women together. We are collaborators. We see the power of you're doing this, I'm doing this, but together, 3x. I had Jackie Joy on my show, which I think you and Michelle are connecting with. And she talked about that power. And so what does that look like for you in your business with this, multiplier effect? Because I think that really gets us to where we want to go at a higher level.
Everything is about collaboration. Nothing happens in isolation. And I believe that is also a big revolution that we are in as women, because we have succeeded beautifully in a masculine energy leadership model. We have knocked it out of the park, ladies. However, that isn't our optimum leadership style. We are collaborative. We, as women, that is how we are wired. That is the gift that we bring. And in my own business, along my lifetime and career path, I thought I was the one that had to like knuckle down, grind it out. And I couldn't ask for any help. And I couldn't do anything with anybody else because then that meant somehow that I wasn't good enough. And boy, was that a big fat lie. Because what I found is that when I reconnected with those internal drivers of women's well-being, which is internal emotional safety, self-trust, internal authenticity, like I knew who I was. And even if I didn't know, I was finally asking the dang question, what do I like? Who do I want to be in the world? And belonging, and not just feeling like I belong to other people, but finally feeling like I belong to myself. Because when I finally felt like I belonged here in this body as this person, it transformed how I then felt like I belonged to other women and other people. And it's that expansion. And it's part of the women's well-being movement. It's bringing us out of isolation and into community and connection, and not showing up perfect, not having your lipstick on and having your hair done and, not being in your yoga pants. That's fine. Show up however you are, because it's in those moments when we are showing up in the messy, magical middle that we're starting to reclaim and take back our power. And we are taking that power back for ourselves, and we are collectively reclaiming our power together as women and saying, we have a voice. Not only do we have a voice, we have ideas, we have heart-centered passions. And these are the things that are important to us. And how not only it affects us as women, but how it actually ripples out and affects everyone, our children, our communities, the men in our lives. How are we elevating humanity? Because I feel like we've been operating in a very male-dominated energy. And that even comes from me. I've got a lot of male energy, y'all. I run hot, okay? Softening down and bringing that in. But that's such an important thing, because what I found is that I am more expansive. I am more powerful when I am with other women. than when I am isolated and alone.
Oh my gosh. I just am mesmerized every time I listen to you because I'm like, yes, yes. And that is really what I hope that everyone listening in and tuning in today understands, that you're not alone. All the amazing things that you're doing, what is one thing you can have someone do today? I know you do a lot of breath work. Is there one thing that we can, close out, that would help our listener just get centered today?
There is. And as we move into that, I do want to say one thing that I think is really important, and that's that the women's well-being movement isn't about masculine versus feminine. This is about elevating the feminine energy that has not yet had its moment to shine and come into full power, so that we are in harmony, because we are meant to work together. And what is that going to look like? But I feel like the first thing we have to do is get all the women in our life into the place of well-being in an optimum steady state, so that we can thrive and create that harmony in the world together. Because I'm a boy mom and I want this world to be harmonized with my kiddos too. So the best place to start is within our physical body. And I was so surprised, y'all, I breathe wrong. Can you believe that? I didn't know it was possible. I'm still alive, but apparently I have been breathing wrong. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to teach you something, and maybe you'll learn you were breathing backward too. One of the first things, and one of the things that we do as women so often, is we hold our abdomen real tight. We're sucking it in. We are holding it. We want to make sure we look real good. Well, I'm going to invite you, if you got on Myrtle the girdle, just kind of move it and get comfortable. But the first thing to do is to soften your abdomen. And this is a progressive practice, because you will not release all of that tension at one time. It does not feel safe, so that's okay. Do what you can. But just simply sit up a little bit. Like, you're not trying to straighten everything where you're like ramrod straight, but just pull your shoulders back and down, away from your ears. Create a little space between your eyeballs, your ears, and your shoulders. Take a breath in. And as you inhale, imagine and feel your abdomen expanding in a 360 all around your back, your ribs, the sides, the front. Feel it all the way up. And as you exhale, pull your belly button into the back of your spine. And as you breathe in, I want you to loosen your abdomen and expand it. Make it really big, like have that big Buddha belly kind of thing. Fill it all the way in. And as you exhale, pull your navel to your spine. Push that air out. Now, just breathe normally. What most of us don't notice is that sometimes when we're inhaling, we are tightening our abdomen and constricting. And then when we're exhaling, we're expanding our abdomen. And that's backward. I was shocked to learn I'd been breathing backward. And the reason this is important is, if you do nothing else, just throughout the day, check in and just go, I'm just going to soften my abdomen for a second. I can let the muffin out for a second and just get soft, and like really push your fingers in and just feel a little softness. Pull your shoulders back and down. Open up your heart space. And one of the things that I do is I'll take a big breath in through the nose, drop my shoulders while I'm holding my breath. I'm still holding it, but I'm talking. Do a big smile, squish your cheeks up real tight, real tight, real tight, and let it go. Open your jaw, close it. I'm still holding my breath. I'm still talking. And exhale. What we just did was send a lot of signals to our nervous system going, hey, we can chill out a minute. And then you want to do 3 breaths after that. In for 4, and you want to exhale for 6. In for 4, and you want to exhale for 8. In for 4, last time, and exhale for 10. And it is that longer exhale, the softening of the abdomen, the squishing of the cheeks, inhaling through our nose, that are sending all of the signals to tell our poor, exhausted nervous system, you can just take a break for a second, sister.
Carole Jean, if people want to learn about the amazing thing, I know you've got a YouTube channel and all the things, where can they go to find you and learn all about the wonderful things you're doing?
Start with whittingtonwellbeing.com. Scroll down just a little bit from the top, click on the snapshot for your stress profile, and go figure out, how do you respond to stress when you don't have a lot of capacity? And that is going to get you started.
So good. I'm going to have all of your information in the show notes. Thank you. Thank you for being here with us today. I've really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Thank you for spending your time with us today. I had such an amazing experience talking with Carole Jean, and I know that what she shared is so impactful for all of us. Wherever we are in this season, there's always going to be a moment of stress. We might not be sleeping. We might not feel our best. Please take good care of yourself. And I want to give a shout out to my good friend, Michelle Peacock, who introduced me to Carole Jean Whittington. She and Carole Jean are doing some incredible work together. I will have all the links in the show notes. As always, if you found this show helpful, will you share it with a friend or colleague today? She might need to hear that breath work at the end. It might be just what she is looking for. And I would be ever so grateful if you would rate and review the show. It takes less than 60 seconds on Apple Podcasts, and it's how others can find us. I'm so grateful to all of you around the world listening to this show. Keep shining your light bright. The world needs you.